welcome to Your Mac Life for this Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017, show number 1129. Thank you guys very much, as always, for joining me here live on the show, whether you're in the IRC or the Slack room or just watching the video, listening to the audio. Thank you guys very much for joining me live, and also you folks in the archive. I always like knowing you guys are listening to the archive. That's always appreciated. Thank you guys for joining me. On tonight's show, we're going to have, as always, our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. I asked Jim earlier if he was going to be on the show. I haven't gotten a response back from him yet. I also asked him on Twitter, so hopefully he'll be here. If not, we'll just skip straight into the starting point photography segment. When we talk to Jim, we're going to talk about the new Apple announcements, the new Clips app, which, by the way, no one's tried, no one's played with, so all the hot takes are fairly useless. We're going to talk about a little bit about the new Apple Watches. We're going to talk about the new Apple iPad, not new so much as upgraded iPads. We're also going to talk about, what else? What was the third thing that Apple announced? Let me just quickly go through the list. 9.7 iPad. There's something else. There's something else I can't remember what it was, but we'll figure it out. We'll talk to Jim about all that stuff. And if you have any thoughts and opinions, as always, I love hearing from you guys. Let me know what you think about Apple's new announcements, but any of the topics, whether it be the Clips app or the new iPad or the iPhone Red. I was disappointed to see the iPhone Red didn't wrap around to the front. You know, I really wanted to see it all red, but it's white in the front. I guess that makes it a Canadian iPhone. Will you get an iPhone Red? Will you pick one of those up? How about the new iPad? Does that look like something that you would want to be interested in? Maybe, perhaps. Just got a text from Jim, said, give me 30 minutes. I don't know. Oh, geez. Was it iMessage, or how did he send that to me? Okay. Yes, Jim said, give me 30 minutes or so driving, and I'll say, let me know when to call you. So, in our starting point photography segment, we're talking about the after the shoot. We always talk about the process of shooting. Let's talk about the process after the shoot. What do you do after you come home from your photo shoot? We'll talk about that. And the process I personally use, if you wanted to check it out, go to startingpointphotography.com, scroll down, and you'll see the after the shoot article. If you want to read ahead a little bit and find out what I do when I come home from a photo shoot. It's the process. No matter what you do, get yourself a process. Figure out what you're going to do, A, B, C, D, when you come back from a photo shoot, because that process. Notice two thumbtacks up there in the wall. That process helps you be more efficient. And it's really important, I think, anyway, to go through your shots right away. Because the longer you don't do that, the less likely you are to post-process your shots. We'll talk about that a little later on. I got one of our Secret Santas. Apparently got his or her income tax return refund, and he or she wants to do a Secret Santa giveaway, and we're gonna do it for a month. So today's the 22nd. So on whatever show is, let's see, what's the next show? What's the show a month from now? 29th, 5th, April. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's do it the 26th, the last Wednesday of April. We are going to give away, or he or she is going to give you the money, basically, the equivalent of Apple AirPods. They want to give away a set of Apple AirPods to a lucky Your Mac Life listener. Woohoo! Thank you very much, Secret Santa. You know who you are. I really appreciate you doing that. So what we're going to do is, if you are a subscriber to Your Mac Life, what you do is go to the website, yourmaclifeshow.com. At the very top, there's the contest entry form. You fill that form out. Make sure you have an accurate email address, because that's how I'm going to communicate to you. Make sure you've got an accurate email address. And that sends me an email. And I'll drop your email into our Apple AirPod prize bucket. One email, one entry per person for non-subscribers. And on the 26th, I will draw a name from the hat. If you are a subscriber to Your Mac Life at $2, $5, $10, $15, whatever it might be, you get additional entry forms. So you don't got to do anything. If you're a subscriber, don't do anything. Subscribers automatically get entered into the contest, and you get an extra entry form for every $2 that you subscribe for. So for $2, you get 2 entry forms. For $5, you get 3 entry forms. For $10, you get 6 entry forms, and for $15, you get 9. No, that's not right. Yes, 9 entry forms. I duplicate them in the mailbox. So that's one of the reasons why you subscribe to Your Mac Life, is to get extra entry forms. Go to the website, yourmaclifeshow.com. The left-hand side, you'll see that there's a subscriber form there, and you choose $2, $5, $10, $15, whatever amount per month. You don't have to have PayPal. It comes out of your credit card if you want it to come out off your credit card. And each and every month, I get that money put into my PayPal account, which I then turn around and use for living expenses. Because, yeah, I'm moving again in 2 months. Woohoo! Yay! I'm so excited. I freaking hate moving. Wayne says, Lottery Commission will not be happy. Ask an easy skill testing question to the winner to avoid them. Yeah, I've been doing that for 20 years. Lottery Commission doesn't give a rat's ass about me. That's in Canada, folks. In Canada, when you have a lottery, the law says you have to ask a skill testing question. Usually it's like, what's 5 plus 2? Stuff like that. So yeah, sometime in June, moving again for the 4th time in 2 years. For the 13th time in 15 years. I hate moving. I utterly, utterly hate moving. I've always wished that I had enough money, not even rich money, just well-off money, where I could go to a moving company and say, here's my old address. Here's my new address. Recreate the old place in the new place. I'm at the pub. And I wouldn't pack a damn thing. I wouldn't pack a fork. I wouldn't pack my underwear. I would just say, all that stuff there, put it over here. However you need to do it. Just don't break anything. When you're done, let me know. I'll give you a tip. I'll pay the check, and I'm out of here. But if you can't afford to do that, moving just is awful. It's stressful. There's nothing good about moving. Nothing. And I went through all this as a kid. We moved once a year from the time I was in grade 6 to the time I was in grade 11. That's 5 years in a row. And now, like I said, 13 in the last 15 years. 13 times in the last 15 years I've moved. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. No, don't. No. MacMan, at least you should be a pro at it by now. No, I'm a guy. Guys aren't pros at moving. We open a box, we throw stuff into the box is full, we close the box. That's how guys move. I wish I was organized, but I'm not organized. It gives me another opportunity to get rid of some more shit, though. I will be leaving a lot of stuff behind for you-know-who. So because Jim said that he wasn't going to be able to make it at the usual time, yearly, military brat. Yeah, Navy. MacMan, my dad was in the Navy. Let's go straight to the starting point photography section of the show. Startingpointphotography.com is the website. You can go there and check it out if you so choose to find the After the Shoot article. And what this is basically my process of what I do after I come back from a photo shoot. And to me, this is really important. I think this is something that every beginner should learn a process, whether it's this one or a different one, whatever is most comfortable for you, and do it right away. Like I said earlier, if you don't, the longer you put it off, the less likely you're going to do the edits. So the first thing I do is get the images off my camera. First thing I do is I get home and I pop my either 1 or 2 cards out of my camera and get them on the computer, on the desktop of the computer. What I do is I put them in a folder that goes by year, month, date, and then a little 1 or 2 word description of what the event was. And that folder, by using the year, date, and name convention, I can find photos real easy. All I need to know, I gotta know the year. It was in March. I can go through 2016 March and see what it was, or just use the name tag at the end of it, as opposed to just taking the images off your camera and dumping them in a random folder. Organize the folder initially that way, and then after I've dumped them all onto the desktop, I take that folder and put it on an external drive. Where's my external drive? So I've got this little external drive, little 4 gigabyte external drive, that I then back the photos up onto. So now I've got 3 copies of the photos. 1 on the camera card, 1 on the desktop, and 1 on an external backup. So after that, I take the photos, and because Adobe Lightroom is my editor of choice, I import them all to Lightroom. And you can use whatever you use, photos, or if you're still using Aperture, you can use that. Whatever photo editing, it doesn't matter what photo editing app you use, I dump them into that photo editing app. And on the first pass, I think, if I read the article correctly, I had 325 original photos. And that's about average. That's about average number of photos for me for a day's location shooting. Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on what it was. So now Lightroom has a catalog, and I open Lightroom up in a new catalog, give it the same name as the folder, so the year, month, day, _ Blodell in this case. And I save the Lightroom catalog in the same folder as the images. That way it's all easy to find. So 325 images. Now the culling begins. And this is where it's really important as a new beginning photographer. You've got to learn this one secret. Not every photo is going to be great. Don't beat yourself up over the fact that X% of your photos aren't very good. That's true of everybody. Okay? So don't think that every single shot you take has to be a keeper or should have been a keeper. The other thing is, don't try to save every single photo. If it's a bad photo, just delete it right now. Just get rid of it now. If it's poorly composed or out of focus or there's just something wrong with it, if you don't immediately look at the image and go, oh, it's nice, I like that. If you look at it and even for a split second go, delete it. Delete, 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 delete. You got to be brutal about your deleting. Wayne says, example, ask a professional photographer how many shots they take to get something they want to publish. Yeah, exactly. They'll take hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and get 2 publishable shots. So a lot of folks, especially beginners, will think, oh, maybe I can fix that one. No. If that's your thought that you can fix it, forget about it. Delete it. If you think, oh, I could tweak that, that's different. If you just are going to, if I just change the color on it, that'll be nice, keep that one. But when it comes to, I can fix it, no. Delete the ones you think you can fix, because you can't. All right? You can't. Trust me, you can't fix them. You're not going to fix them. But make a mental note of why the photo isn't a keeper. Is it because it's blurry? Is it because it's badly composed? Were you too far away? Were you too close? Was it the wrong lens? Was it blah, blah, whatever it is? Just make a little mental note. Oh, okay. That was blurry. That was blurry. That was blurry. Because if you see a bunch of shots that are blurry, maybe there's something you can do to fix that for the next time. Is it because it was too dark and you weren't holding the camera steady enough? Maybe you need a tripod next time. Or the reverse, too bright. Maybe you need a filter or lower your ISO or increase your aperture or a bunch of other different things that you can do. So make a note of why it's a bad photo, but don't keep it. You got to get rid of the bad ones. There's no point in keeping bad photos. You're just wasting disk space. You're not going to go back a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later and fix bad photos. 95% of you are not going to do that. Pros generally don't do that. Beginners shouldn't do it. Go out and shoot better ones. For example, if you think to yourself, oh, I missed that shot. I wish I could have gotten that. I took a shot of a beautiful golden pheasant at the Blodell. It wasn't a very good shot. The bird was moving through the underbrush, and I didn't get a very good shot. Rather than try to fix the bad shot, I think to myself, I'll go back to the Blodell and shoot that shot again. So think of it that way. Delete the bad ones, remember why it was a bad one, and then go back to the location and fix the shot that way. So at my first culling pass for these 325 photos, I went from 325 down to 125. So I deleted 200 images that were just not good enough by my own personal standards, whatever those standards might be. So I knocked off 2/3 of the photos, right? Just X arrow, X arrow, X arrow. The next thing is I delete those photos not just from the Lightroom catalog, but from the hard drive, from the iMac desktop. You have that option in Lightroom. It will delete photos either out of the catalog or also from the disk itself. If they're bad photos, I don't want them anymore. A lot of people will use the star rating, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. I never star rate anything. It's either a good photo or it's not a good photo. Why would you keep a 1-star photo, a 2-star photo, a 3-star photo? Only keep your 4 and 5s. And if you're only keeping the 4s and 5s, you don't need to star rate them. So I deleted 200 photos. Now, the next thing I do, and this is just for me personally, I literally get up and walk away from the computer for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. I go make a coffee, I'll maybe walk around the block, I'll go watch TV, whatever it is. But just to give myself a little bit of a break from looking at those photos. Think about something else. Do something else. Then I'll come back. And this time, I'm looking at those last 125 images more critically. Is this a good photo? Do I like this photo? Does this photo tell the story that I want it to tell? Is it a pleasing image? Is it an image I want to show other people? That's what I do my photography for. Some photographers only shoot for themselves. I shoot because I frankly want to show other people the images I caught. Whether because they're examples of something that happened to me or an area I was at, or whether I just think it's a good photograph. So that's my mindset. Is this an image that I would want other people to see? And how much work will it take for me to tweak this thing? If it takes a lot of work, I'm not going to do it, frankly. I ain't getting paid for this. This is for... Now, remember, if this is a client, it's a whole different story. Client shots, I'll work my ass off to fix, tweak, get right. But these are just your personal shots. So I go through that the second time and see which photos are ones that I want to tweak. Now on this pass, the second pass, I'm down to 25 images. So inside about half an hour of editing, of deleting, I'm down from 325 images, which is just mentally exhausting. Very quickly got down to 25 images. That's more manageable. That's an easier number of photographs to deal with. Now I go through them a third time and see what I need to do to make them perfect. Do I have to do a lot of work on the photo? Is the photo worth taking all that time on? For me, a lot of work is anything over 2 minutes. In Lightroom, it's real easy, and it is in other apps too, to do some real quick color correction, highlights, shadows, vibrance, saturation, all that kind of stuff. And I can get through those in about 20 seconds to fix whatever I see as the major issues. Do a quick crop, and then I look at the photo and think, okay, what else do I need to make this even better? And if it doesn't get any better, I delete it. You define what you think is too much time. For me, like I said, it's a couple minutes. For you, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes. But one of the things that happens to beginners is they get caught up in this stuff, and then 3 hours later, they're still working on 2 images, and they get frustrated and then stop doing it, either stop shooting or stop editing. That's why I'm saying you want to be able to do this stuff really fast. You want to get a process that is easy to do. Like I said, I've done from 325 to 25 in half an hour. And that's including importing them, putting them on the hard drives, importing them into Lightroom. So that's about the amount of time you want to spend. Because you got a life. You're not a professional photographer. You got a life. You got better things to do. So what I ended up with after all of this was 8 photos. So I went from 325 photos down to 8. That's not bad. It sounds like not a lot, but those 8 represent what I saw in my head. Sorry, those 8 represent what I saw at that particular location. They're a good representation of the images and the feel and whatever it was about that location at that time that I enjoyed. And if you go to startingpointphotography.com and scroll down for the after the shoot images, you'll see what I eventually ended up capturing. And there's this one lovely shot, cute little girl. Dad was staring at the cockatoo. And the little girl just turned and looked at me. She had these beautiful blue eyes. And so I very quickly snapped a shot of her. These little finch-like birds were just spectacularly beautiful. The colors on them, the yellows and the purple and the red and the blue and the green. It was, oh my God, it's a neon bird. Now this is a good example of how I went from how I got 325 shots. I probably took 20, 25 shots of this particular bird, trying to get him in the right pose. They're finches, so they're very quick and fidgety and a little bit nervous kind of birds. So a lot of the shots I took of these birds were blurry because they were moving very quickly. The Blodell is not in bright light, so I had to increase my ISO, and I had a very low aperture on this one. I think I was shooting the 50mm, the Nifty 50 at f1.8 or 2.2. So it was I still had some trouble getting non-blurry shots of these birds. So I took a bunch. And that's one thing you have to remember too. When you take a shot and look at it on the back of your camera, quite often it looks just fine because this is a very small image. But when you blow it up to IMAX size, then you can see the blur in it. So you want to take several shots. That's why in situations like this where things are moving quickly, I turn burst mode on my camera on. Actually, I've got it on all the time. But use burst mode to capture images of birds in flight, and you'll get wing movement and head movement and things like that. The other birds, also small little finches. There was a African gray there. It was just beautiful. I like this shot because his lower, because I was shooting f1.8, the lower half of his body was blurry, but his eyes and his head were very sharp. And because I had such a low aperture number, the background blurred out really nicely too. What you have to watch out for when you shoot a low aperture number, a 2.2 or 1.8 or that sort of thing, is that it doesn't take much for the image to be blurry. But you always want to focus on the eye. The eye of the creature you're shooting, whether it be a human being or an animal, fish, whatever. You got to have the eye in focus. If the eye isn't in focus, then the shot's not going to be very good. So keep that in mind. Whenever you're shooting something with eyes, one of the eyes has to be in focus. This was the cockatoo. He was very talkative and dancing. He had one of his claws had that food treat. I have no idea what it is, and he was rocking. He was having such a blast. He was sitting there and he was doing this. It was like he was breakdancing. He just kept moving his head back and forth like this, and he'd stop every now and then and squawk at us and start breakdancing again. He was very, very cool. Another shot of, I think someone in the IRC chat room, or the Slack chat room, called this a zebra finch. I don't know if that's his actual name, but he was very cute too. Little itty bitty tiny things at feeding time. Wayne says, "Yep, zebra finch." Okay, very pretty. If there is a conservatory or something like that in your neighborhood, you got to go. It's so much fun. It's so neat to see, because we don't have these birds in the U.S. or Canada. We don't see birds of these incredible colorings here very often. You pretty much got to go to a zoo or a conservatory to do it. I like the conservatory because the birds are flying around free. You're in their cage. So if you get a chance to go do that, one of the most fun times I had was at the National Butterfly Conservatory in Pittsburgh. I didn't know there was any such thing as a National Butterfly Conservatory. And so you walk in, and it's kind of funny when you think about it. It makes sense, but at first it's kind of weird because you have to walk into two, not security doors, but you walk in the first door and it closes behind you, then you walk through the second door, and there's an airflow inwards. That's so the butterflies don't fly away. And then you go in, and there, I want to say 5,000, 10,000 butterflies in this place. Someone look it up, National Butterfly Conservatory. There's just an amazing number of butterflies in there. And if you go at feeding time, it's really cool. You go at feeding time, they give you a little butterfly food, which I'm sure is just sugar water. And you put the butterfly food on your finger, and the butterflies will come and land on your finger. And if you got a good enough camera, you can take pictures of the butterflies on your finger. But the other great thing about the Butterfly Conservatory was because they're, running free, butterflies would land all over people, and they wouldn't know they were there. So I got some great shots of butterflies on like people's heads and on their shoulders. They didn't know the butterfly was there. So those are kind of, those are kind of fun things to do. So look for those kinds of activities. We tend to, as beginning photographers, just take pictures of things that are standing still, buildings and portraits of families and friends. Start looking to shoot things that are moving a little bit, birds and butterflies and things like that in conservatories and the like, and see if you can't get some interesting shots that way. Just waiting for Jim to send me a text that he is ready. If you have any questions, as always, you guys know I love getting questions from you guys about photography, about anything in general. But if you have any photography-related questions, as always, I encourage you to send them off to me. You can send them to Shawn at startingpointphotography.com. And don't forget, I do 2 classes. One, learn to take better images with any camera. And the other is learn to take better pictures with your DSLR. Both classes are on demand. All you got to do is send me an email saying, "Hey, Shawn, I want to do it Tuesday at 3 o'clock." And I will set it up for us to get together Tuesday at 3 o'clock. And that's 3 o'clock your time. Don't worry about my time. We can do it on your time. You can do it in your pajamas if you want to. The first class is just the general tips, tricks, and concepts of photography that are translatable to any camera. It doesn't matter whether you've got an iPhone or a point and shoot or DSLR. It doesn't matter. And the second class is more focused on the DSLR, and even more so what all these fancy buttons are on the top and on the sides of your DSLR and how to use those buttons to create better images. Both classes are $75 a piece, and they run for about 2.5 hours. You can do them separately if you'd like. If you want to do them both, I'll give you a package deal of $125. And if you've been a subscriber to Your Mac Life for at least a year, you can get each class for $50. Can't do better than that. So send me an email to Shawn at startingpointphotography.com if you want more information, or go to the website at startingpointphotography.com to get more info about the classes. Let's do some emails. I know I got a couple of photography emails from folks over the last little while. This is kind of interesting. From Paul Kultis. Paul Kultis. The question, why are DSLR cameras better? In what situation, Paul? Because they're not. One size doesn't fit all. There's no such thing as the perfect camera. There's no such thing as that one camera that's good for everybody. There's no such thing as the best camera for every situation. It depends on what you're shooting. DSLRs are best because of the large sensor, which is the brains of the camera, the wide variety of lenses you can get, the speed, both for autofocus and things like that. But in some situations, an iPhone's better. In some situations, a point and shoot is better. My point and shoot from Olympus, the Olympus Tough one I've got, I can mount it to the motorcycle. I'm not mounting my iPhone to the motorcycle. I can take it underwater. I'll take my DSLR underwater. So it depends on the situation whether or not which camera is better for which specific instance. So I wouldn't say that it's DSLRs are better in all cases. Just got a text from Mr. Dalrymple saying he is ready, so let me get him on the phone. Till we come back, we'll be talking to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. This is Your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining me here on this Wednesday evening. As always, we have our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com on the phone. Jim, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I am good. Busy week for Apple in a strange kind of way. I saw an interesting article, someone was commenting on the fact, why did Apple do this why Apple announced its new iPad with such little fanfare. Do you have an opinion about that?
Because they can.
But there wasn't a big press briefing. One of the rumors was that there was going to be Apple was going to do this at the new campus, that they were going to announce it with a press invite, but they didn't. It seemed like a little bit of a stealth update.
Well, that's why I don't read rumors. Because they're just, they can say whatever they want, but if they're not true, well, then they're not true. No big deal, right? So I don't think that they needed a press thing for what they released.
Do you think it was because that Apple didn't think this was important?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the iPad that they released is very important.
Yeah.
You get the high-end users that are whining and complaining that it doesn't have the same screen, and it doesn't have true color, and it doesn't have this and that. But the fact is, for the people that's aimed for, they don't care.
Do you think this is a upgrade iPad, or is this for new users? We know Apple has said for 20 years now that half of its customers are new to the Apple ecosystem. And there's very interesting comments on both sides of this, whether this is the iPad for people like me who've got a 2-year-old iPad, or whether this is an iPad for folks who've never owned an iPad before.
Exactly. Yeah. The answer is yes. It's for both.
It's for both, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is an iPad that it's very fast, much faster than the 2-year-old iPad.
Sure. Yep.
There's no way that people can reasonably say that this is not a good iPad.
Yes.
It may not have the features that you particularly want because you're a more sophisticated or a pro user.
Yep.
And in that case, yes, there is an iPad for you. It's called an iPad Pro.
Yeah, that's right.
And for those that complain about the price of the iPad Pro, guess what? There's Androids. Go for it. Enjoy yourself.
Now, another comment about this, it was seen from our friend Ben Bajarin over at techpinions.com, is that this is a proverbial shot across the bow of the Chromebooks in education. Apple has dropped the price of this to, I think, $299 for education discounts.
Yeah.
Do you think Apple is Apple going after the education market? That was a market they used to own, and they lost to Windows, and they got most of it back. Now they seem to be losing it to Chromebooks. Do you think that this is going to be either a response to that, or will it help them in education?
Well, I think it is going to help them in education because education is a really, really tough market for companies to crack, only because they're so restricted in their budget.
Yes.
But, educators want to teach with the best equipment that they can. They don't want to teach with crap.
Yeah.
But if that's all that the school board can afford, then they teach with what they can. And technology is a huge part of what school boards need to teach now. So, yeah, I think it'll be a big part.
I think it's one of the issues that Apple is sometimes they seem to forget that a lot of schools buy in bulk, first of all, but they also often buy on the word of the either citywide, countywide, maybe even statewide IT guy who may not be, let's say, conversant in all the advantages that Apple have. All they see is we've got $500,000 to buy computers. We can buy 500,000 Chromebooks because they're cheap as hell, or we can buy 3 iPads. And so quite often the decision is made based solely on price. I think one of the things that Apple doesn't do a very good job of is showing education the return on investment, the fewer hassles, the fewer tech support issues, the fewer disadvantages when it comes to potential malware using Android apps and things like that. I don't see Apple really, and I don't think they've ever done a really good job at doing that. They sort of lose to the price point of the Chromebooks, but then 5 years later, someone comes along and goes, yeah, those Chromebooks suck. Let's buy iPads now.
Yeah, well, there is no convincing somebody or a school board, that something is better based on features when price is an issue.
That's right.
You can convince somebody that if they have $100 to spend and your product is $100 and the competitor's product is $100, then you can say, well, ours is better because. But if your competitor's product is $10 and the school board has 20 and yours is 100, well, you're screwed.
Yep.
There's no way of winning that battle.
Do you think this will jumpstart as we've always said, there's no tablet market. There's only an iPad market. This is a product I think personally is going to be very interesting to see what kind of sales they get, especially this coming Christmas. I know Christmas is a long way away, but do you think this will jumpstart the tablet market, or will this sort of just level off the loss of iPad sales that Apple's been going through the last 3 or 4 years?
No, I think that this is going to certainly help their sales.
Yeah.
Because, if you look at what they've had over the past couple of updates for iPads, they've been for pro users.
Yes.
Regular iPad users, and I think that there are a lot of them, won't upgrade to a Pro because of the cost, and they don't need that much power. So this one, $329, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Especially, I think there's a huge bubble of iPad users out there, folks who have maybe even the original one or the second or maybe even the third generation one. It's getting a little slow. The latest version of iOS is nice, but it's not as peppy as you'd like it to be. And you're thinking, you know what? I like the iPad. I just want something a little faster. At this price point, it is, someone has said this is a no-brainer if you're in the market for a tablet in general. Certainly, if you're looking to upgrade your iPad. The problem Apple has is finding something that compels people to upgrade, that said they have to have that. I don't think there's anything in the I have to have category with this new iPad. Do you?
Well, here's the thing. It's not a matter of have to have with the new iPad. It's a matter of my iPad is old and I can start to feel that, it's trying to crunch a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And the one that they just released is at a good price.
Yes.
So, yes, I'll upgrade to that one. As opposed to, there's one that's double the price. No, I'm not going to do that. I'll keep letting my iPad crunch away.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what it comes down to in this type of entry-level product.
And make no mistake, this is entry level at a price point, not entry level at a usability. Everything you could do before, you can do now. The only downside is, and it makes perfect sense, someone in the Slack chat room was asking about, does it work with the Apple Pencil? No, because the Apple Pencil is a pro product, and Apple is differentiating these things by using that nomenclature and by keeping features in the pro higher priced area. I don't think Apple, certainly not in the next 2 or 3 revisions of the iPad, is going to allow the iPad Pencil to work on these lower level iPads. Do you?
No, and there's no need for it. Would it be nice? Sure. Who wouldn't want that? But the fact is, it doesn't need to, because theoretically, these are entry-level consumer-type devices.
Yep.
If you want pro functionality, which an Apple Pencil would fit into that category for graphic design and things like that, then you would get an iPad Pro.
Yep.
So it's not a matter of Apple being, trying to rip people off. It's a matter of, this is an entry-level system. If you want something bigger and better and faster with more features, we have one of those. Here you go.
This is the same discussion, the same argument I'm reading online, the same old that people have always had when it comes to Apple and these updates, isn't it? There's nothing new under the sun when it comes to this. This is what Apple does. If you were paying attention, you could have predicted this. Maybe not the date, but you could certainly have reasonably predicted this was what Apple was going to do. It makes perfect sense if you understand the company. It makes perfect sense when you understand the way they price things. It makes perfect sense when you understand they felt pressure from the Chromebooks. I don't know if Apple's going to recover much in the education field. I'm not involved in that. I don't know anyone in it, so I don't know how educators feel about this kind of thing. But Ben Bajera made a really interesting point that because of the Logitech keyboard, the rugged keyboard and case, because the iPad not only runs all the Google Docs that educators seem to like, but it also runs all the Mac iOS stuff. I think the combination there could really certainly stem the tide in education for Apple, if not turn it completely into having the iPad be the number one seller in the education market.
Well, it's hard to tell where the education market is going to go because, they tend to be a little bit behind. And again, it's because of costs and because, once they make a purchase, they're not going to make another purchase next year.
That's right. Yeah.
They've made their purchase for the next few years.
Yep.
And then they'll look at another one. So, it's hard to tell where that market is going to go. They don't need to be on the bleeding edge, and they need something at a good price and something that they can teach their students with. And I think it's almost impossible to predict where they're going to go. I
think one aspect that definitely differentiates the iPad from Google Chromebooks is security. It's more locked down, for better or worse, depending on whether you're an IT guy or not. I have heard some issues with Chromebooks and kids downloading things and schools not being able to lock them down, whereas the iPad can be locked down a lot, sometimes, again, too much. I think that's going to be a big differentiator. And Apple's done a really good job of priming the pump and letting folks know that they're very security conscious. And Google's done a good job of saying they're not security conscious. So I think that's going to help Apple too.
Well, yeah, all of that is going to help, especially, sometimes it takes, use to realize that you've made a mistake.
Yeah.
So the next time they go out, they probably will look at it and say, no, no Chromebooks for us. Others may say, yes, we're going to continue on with them because they're cheap.
Yep.
And, like I said, there's no argument for that.
Let's move on. iPhone 7 product red. What do you think about that?
I think it's cool.
I haven't seen one. I don't know. I'm going to assume it's the same red color they've always used for the product red launches. My big disappointment about it was that it's not all red. It's not red on the face of it, too. I don't know why that bothers me so much, but I would want a red one all the way around. I think that would be.
Well, I think you'd have to see it first.
Yeah, I definitely would want to see it. Is this a product that you would buy?
I don't know that I've ever bought a product. Yeah, I have. I've had product red stuff before. I like them. It's certainly different. It differentiates the product, and Apple as a company has a conscience. They've raised $130 million.
Yep.
For this charity, so they're the largest corporate donor fundraiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible what they've been able to do. So good for them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's nothing. I have no problem with Apple doing this. I know some people do, but I think it's a good cause. It's a good charity. The products. It's a great color. It's a beautiful, vibrant red. I don't know if I'd buy one of these if I was in the market for an iPhone. I think the next iPhone I would like to see in other colors too. I think I
want a purple one.
You want a purple iPhone?
Yeah.
But Apple's always caught between the rock and the hard place because they can't make, if only 4 guys want purple, but they make 50,000 of them, they're stuck with those. So I understand why Apple minimizes their coloring.
No, lots of people would buy purple.
Yeah, I think lots of people will buy lots of different colors. I think if
especially purple.
It's.
I think they should just take loop purple and make a damn iPhone.
All right, Jim has spoken. Now, the other announcement is Apple introduces Clips, a new way to create expressive videos on iOS. Now, I didn't see these announcements live in real time. I got to watch the reaction on Twitter later that evening. I thought that was really interesting, watching it that way, post event, but watching Twitter sort of live the tape, so to speak. Well, what's your first initial impression about Clips?
Well, I think Clips is pretty funny because it does exactly what we expect from Apple. They take what could be a complicated thing, like video with timelines and everything else, and makes it really, really simple.
Yeah.
You don't have timelines, you don't have anything. It just kind of pieces everything together perfectly, and away you go. You got your thing. So that, in that respect, I think Apple did a great job with Clips. I mean, think about it, it's kind of like what they did with Music Memo. Remember that?
No.
It's just for musicians. Remember, it was like Voice Memo, but it's a music app, and you could put drums to it. You could do all kinds of stuff, and it was just quick and easy. And that's what Clips is. It's just quick and easy. You can add photos and video and music, and all of a sudden you have this great looking clip.
There's a lot of folks out there who are saying this is Apple's response to Instagram and Snapchat and those other, for lack of a better description, younger generation focused applications. Do you agree with that?
Well, I would have to say overall, yes. But I think it's Apple's response to the market. Yeah. Those companies clearly have something that people want to use, and they made an app that you can do it with. And Apple made apps so that we can look at stocks and look at weather and look at all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And now they've made an app that you can build clips with and share them and be funny, and it has filters, and you can do live titles and stuff like that. Yeah, why not?
I honestly can't say anything about this app because I haven't seen it. As I said off the top of the show, any of the hot takes you're getting from folks are not from anyone who's actually seen or used the application. But from reading it, for me personally, now maybe when I use it, it'll be different, but reading about it makes me go, it's not something I was interested in before.
You're not the target market.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I say, is this a Snapchat competitor kind of thing? And that's fine too. I have no problem with that. Apple can go ahead and make all the apps they want for Gen Z and Gen Y, millennials, and whatever it might be. I'm just saying that for me personally and for others of our generation, don't pay a lot of attention to what, for lack of a better term, the old fogies are saying about this. Ask your kids about it. Ask their friends about it. Ask the younger generations what they think about these kinds of things. Don't read anything from Macworld or anyone else who's over the age of 40, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Until the app comes out. Once the app comes out, we can play with it. Then we can talk about the ease of use and the technical aspects of it and those kind of things. I like the idea that Apple isn't trying to turn this into another social app, because I think that's where they, for some bizarre reason, keep falling down. This is an app where you create it on your phone and then you send it off to your social network.
Right.
As opposed to it being created inside of a social network. I like that idea.
Yep, me too.
Susan Gare in our IRC chat room says, can I make memes with it? Yeah, you can. You can make all the memes you want. You can add text, you can add funky sunglasses. You can have a blast with those things. This has got to be one of the funniest headlines I saw all day. I'm just going to read you the headline. Apple may alter the AR competition.
Okay.
Apple may alter the AR competition. Are you not paying attention? Every market Apple goes into, they alter.
Yeah.
Apple's already altering the AR competition because everyone in AR is shitting themselves, worried about what Apple's going to do, when they're going to do it, how they're going to do it. Apple keeps teasing us with this stuff, and they're going to come out with something that's going to blow our minds. I honestly believe that.
Yeah, so do I.
I don't know if it's going to be glasses. I think it's going to be on the phone itself. I think we're going to see an augmented reality very similar to the Pikachu kind of model. But Apple it's not may alter the competition. It's going to completely destroy the competition because no one's got any kind of foothold among average people when it comes to augmented reality, and forget about virtual reality. I don't think
you're absolutely right.
I don't think average people, non-techies, non-nerds, non-geeks, want virtual reality. I don't know that they want augmented reality, but augmented reality is at least a little bit of a better, easier sell than virtual reality.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really wants to walk around with those big glasses on and all that kind of stuff. I mean, people, they don't get that.
Well, the problem with virtual reality is that it's a single person thing. You put those glasses on and now you've shut out the outside world. There was a story, I think it was somewhere in Texas, where this movie theater was outfitting all the seats with augmented reality. So you're all going to meet in this room, then put on these glasses and not interact with each other.
No, that's not going to happen.
I don't get it. I think there's a market out there for it. Yeah, I think it's a gamer market. I think it's a very, very narrow niche market. But augmented reality, I think, can be a much bigger thing. I think Tim Cook's been very clear about that. He hasn't mentioned virtual reality very much, but he's mentioned augmented reality quite often and told people how interested they are. And there's no maybe about it. There's no might about it. When Apple enters the AR market, however they do it, they're going to completely destroy several companies, and they're going to alter the way everyone thinks about and looks at and reacts to augmented reality.
Of course they are. And that's what they're waiting for. They skipped over VR, and they went straight to AR.
Yeah.
And, they skipped over NFC for the most part and went, to Apple Pay and things like that and new ways to do things instead of trying to conform to the way that we always did things. So I expect when they do come out with something that it will be changing.
Wayne in the Slack chat room says, honestly, they're going to define the market. They're likely to be the first to pull off something accessible enough for mass appeal.
Exactly. And that's what it's going to take. I mean, you can talk about all the cool things that you can do with VR or AR or something like that, but unless there's mass appeal, it's not going to be hugely successful. That's what Apple's really great at.
Unfortunately, Mosquito in our IRC chat room is a bit of a, well, he's talking about pirate reality, ARR. ARER, existential reality, and OUR, libertarian reality. What a funny guy he is.
What a funny guy.
The other thing Apple announced on Tuesday was new Apple Watch bands. How many, you have an Apple Watch, how many Apple Watch bands do you own, Jim?
I probably have 5 or 6.
Really? That many?
I only ever wear one.
That's what I was worried about when it came to Apple Watch bands, that people would just buy the one. They wouldn't have multiples. Why did you buy 5 but only wear one?
Well, I don't bother changing it. So I get up in the morning and I put it on, and there's my watch. So I don't go in and say, I am feeling very summery today. I think I will put on this. I just put on my watch and it tracks me all day, and I take it off and put it in the charger and do the same thing the next day.
Yeah, I don't have an Apple Watch, but that's the way I would be too. I've never changed the watch, the strap on any watch, the band on any watch I've ever owned, even the old Timex when we were kids. My Tissot has got the exact same strap on it that I had when I bought it 15 years ago. I think that I would buy, if I bought an Apple Watch, I'd buy probably a black strap, and that's it. I don't need to match my fashion sense to my Apple Watch band. I will say, though, I saw an Apple Watch for the first time today in Vancouver, out in the wild at Starbucks, and this guy had a white Apple Watch band on. It looked kind of cool. It was obviously very obvious when you saw it. It was your eyes were drawn to it because of the white band. Not something you see very often. But yeah, I can't see myself ever being interested in more than one watch band.
Well, I mean, there's some cool watch bands out there. There really are. I mean, the nylon ones feel great and all that kind of stuff. But the fact is, I just don't think about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's just not something that ever crosses your mind to swap out for, because I'm guessing watch bands are thought of as a fashion accessory. And look at the way you and I dress. We don't know anything about fashion.
Yeah.
Folks, I've been talking to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. He's here each and every week. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate you making time for us tonight.
Thanks, Shawn.
I'll talk to you next week. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Mr. Dalrymple's here each and every week. Thanks very much to Jim for being here. If you have any questions or any comments about anything we've talked about, Jim talked about, send me emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Always love getting emails from you guys. You know that. I know that. See if I get any emails about... Oh, and that's right. If you have any comments about what Jim talked about, what you think about the Apple Watch bands. How many Apple Watch bands do you have? Do you swap them out? Are you a fashion person where you switch the black one for the Milanese one for the whatever other ones are? Send me an email to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Love to hear from you guys about those kinds of things. I got to just read this email. I say this on a not regular enough basis to folks that I get this email from Justin McGonigal. Sounds very Scottish. Justin McGonigal. Sent from my iPhone 5S. Just wanted to say, you're awesome. Been listening to you for a long time. Justin, you have no idea how good that makes me feel. You have no idea how much I like hearing that. Not just out of vanity's sake, although I can be as vain as the next person. It's just nice. Do that, folks, for every single person that you know of on podcast or a developer or anything like that, because we don't hear that enough. Every one of us, every single person listening doesn't hear enough, you're awesome, thanks for what you do. We just don't give that kind of affirmation to complete strangers. You know, if you go to the same Starbucks every day and see the same barista, next time, just say, thank you very much. This is great coffee. Or if there's a podcast that you really, really like, send them an email. Tell them how much you like what they do and appreciate what they do. If it's a web app that you like, especially for an indie developer, like one single guy out there doing stuff, the folks at Manytrix, Rob Griffith and those guys, send them an email. It takes you 30 seconds, and you have no idea the smile you will put on that developer's face, the smile you'll put on that podcaster's face, and the warm feeling they'll get just in whatever period of time they're thinking about that. So, Justin McGonigal, I want to say to you, thank you very much, sir, for sending me that email. I really appreciate it. It's a wonderful, wonderful email. Folks, on that note, I'm going to shut the show down for this evening. If you have any questions, again, about photography, about process, about editing, about cameras, about lenses, please send me email, Shawn@startingpointphotography.com. I love helping people figure out photography, so I'm always happy to do that. And check out the classes. Go to startingpointphotography.com and check out the 2 classes I'm running. Learn to take better images no matter what camera you have, and learn how to use your DSLR. Both classes are on demand, online, Google Hangouts, live. You're not watching a tape, you're watching me live. You can ask questions, we can talk back and forth. I use Google Hangouts for that. So send me an email if you want more information about that. As always, I want to say thanks to you guys. Thanks to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com for being here. And thanks to you guys being tuned in, whether you're tuned in live or via the archive. I love you guys for being here each and every week. So until next week, as always, I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!